Hello and welcome back to Memory at Lightning Speed with a permanent memory spare and power recall. Memory Course 3, Episode 9, Chain Linking, Part 2. I'm about to teach you how to memorize this list forwards and backwards. Okay, so how did we do better? Okay, let's see. This is when you learn this technique, and I'll show you how to memorize this forwards and backwards. It's a really great party trick. But it's not just a party trick to impress your friends, your family members, or co-workers and such. It's also a great exercise for your brain to develop your powerful brain. What we're going to do is we're going to reverse roles. And now you are the memory coach. You are the powerful brain, the powerful memory coach. And you are your own memory expert, because ultimately you know you better than anybody else. Remember, genius leaves clues. Genius leaves clues. What I want you to see and notice, what words do you remember? Because I can tell you there's a method behind the magic. There are certain memory principles that allow you to memorize certain words and make you forget other words. Okay, so you teach me. Now, you're the memory coach. What words do you remember? And why do you think you remember them? Out of this list of words, look at the words. Which ones do you remember? You might even say, I remember fire hydrant. Okay, so if you remember fire hydrant, my question to you is, why? Why do you think you remember the word fire hydrant? If I was to say that you probably like, Achim, I remember that word because it was the first word. It was at the beginning. You're absolutely correct. That's a memory principle. What we're going to do right now is I'm going to ask you to write and jot down the memory principles of memory. One of them is the first, the principle of remembering things. That is the first. Memory principles. 1. First or primary. The first is called primary, meaning if you go into a room and meet 20 strangers, you're most likely to remember and meet the ones at the beginning and the people you meet first. If you learned the list of 20 words, you probably remember the first words because that's the beginning first word. What other words do you remember? You might even remember the word sign. Why would you ever remember the word sign? You're like Achim, probably because it was the last word, and you're absolutely correct again. Because we tend to remember the last things. Memory principles. 1. First or primary. Second, last or recency. The last things, meaning the things that are most recent. They call that recency. So if you go to the same party, meet 20 strangers, you're likely to remember the people in the beginning, primacy, and the people you meet at the end. They call that recency. If I give you a list of 20 words, you're more likely to remember the words at the beginning and also the words at the end that are more recent. That's recency. Excellent. we're getting off to a really good start here. Now, you've got primacy and recency, remembering things first and remembering things last. What other memory principles did we apply here? What other words did you tend to remember? Some people say, I remember some of the B's, meaning you went from balloon, battery, barrel, and board. Here's the principle. Why do you think you would remember some of those B's? Because they're all organized, right? Memory principles. 1. First, primary. 2. Last, recency. 3. Organized or chunked. We tend to remember information that is well organized, meaning if I gave you a list of 20 words, you probably remember 5, 6, 7 of those words. But if beforehand, before I give you the list, I said, if it's going to fall into these categories, colors, countries, capitals, or vegetables, you're more likely to remember it because it's organized. We remember information that's well organized or it's chunked. That's a memory principle. So write that down. Thank you.